Hey, what's good, everybody? Brant here with CPC Bodybuilding, the best channel in men's classic physique. We've got a wrap up of the Tampa Pro men's classic physique division. My special guest today is Josh Sanch of Bodybuilding News Network. Josh, it's great to see you, man.
It's happy to be back, man. It's phenomenal, and what a way to come back than to hop on the CPC and talk about, or essentially just listen to you talk about classic physique.
Nah, man, I want you on too for your expertise as well because this is what we do. We talk bodybuilding here, so it's good to talk classic with a friend of mine. And just so you guys can find Josh, he does some great coverage here in bodybuilding across all divisions, all men's divisions. So I'm gonna show you guys his Instagram here. If I can get to it. Here we go. So this is Josh here. It's bodybuilding.news.network. So he also has an awesome YouTube channel. There's all kinds of content there, guys. Previews, wrap ups, interviews. Josh, am I missing anything?
I think that's about it. Maybe some like training vlogs back in the day. So I mean, we've been at it for almost half a decade now. So swing by there, and there's going to be a lot of different stuff there for you to sink your teeth into.
Yeah. So, like I said, make sure you guys go give Josh a follow and check out his links here in his bio. So, again, it's a pleasure having Josh on. So, we're going to talk about the Tampa Pro, probably the most exciting classic physique show of the year thus far. Even, I mean, honestly, I would say there was more anticipation with this show than there was with the Arnold Classic. It was great having Wesley take that one by storm, but like
Mm-hmm.
this show just had this allure to it almost. Given the lineup heading into this, Josh, what were your thoughts kind of heading into the show?
So when we focus on the classic physique, I thought that there was a lot of Olympians, current and past, that were in this lineup that kind of stole the spotlight. But, I've always been a big fan of Justin. I've been following him for years. So kind of seeing his updates with him and his coach, I kind of had a feeling that he was going to nail it on this one. So my eyes were on Justin the whole time. But a lot of these guys just looked so phenomenal that it's really hard to overlook them. So over, all in all, it was a great lineup, and a lot of people brought great conditioning. I mean, the first call out, you could have really bounced it around. Probably that top three was very close.
Yeah, you make some good points, man. I think the biggest draw for me was just knowing the balance of having Olympians from all over the world and also just some of the top up and coming guys. Like you mentioned, Justin, Ben Zimmerman, guys like uh, Danny Anderson, the Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, this lineup was just insane when I saw it drop. And we had some surprises in there too. We had Austin Espy as well. I mean, one of the best rookies, if not the best rookie in the IFBB right now. Um, I mean, this was a crazy lineup, and I guess a good segue since you were talking about Justin is we'll jump into the results now, guys. So our winner for the Tampa Pro this year was none other than Justin Badurina. So Justin gets his very first pro win here at the Tampa Pro. He's going to be punching his ticket to the Olympia, making his Olympia debut. Flex Magazine has some really sweet photos here you can see of Justin holding up that ring. And man, it's so beautiful to see this. I mean, Justin, super hard worker and just like embodies classic. Sanch, what are some of the things like when you see Justin's physique that really stand out to you in terms of what makes him so great?
Oh man, you got to talk about the taper, the quad sweep. I mean, even in the off season, he's got a really nice, thick, uh, dare I say, juicy quad sweep. It really jumps off the bones. The vacuum is phenomenal. He's got. I was looking at some photos of him compared to Chris Bumstead. Of course, as soon as you win a show, like they're gonna put him side by side. But he's got a really good chest. The biceps, I think, are going to be competitive to a lot of guys at the Olympia. Maybe not Sebum-esque, but they're definitely there. We were talking in the comment sections, or actually in the DMs, myself and Brant, we were talking about the hamstrings, we were talking about the glutes, and how they compared with the rest of that top six. And he brings a great look to classic physique. And from what I'm kind of seeing with how the judging is going, and kind of not exactly what the powers that be are pushing, but what the judges are rewarding, is physique's exactly like what Justin has: tall, good tapers, that X frame, preferably a nice vacuum. I don't think there's a lot of guys with great hair in that top 10 right now. So Justin could be bringing that new, beautiful. He didn't have to go to Turkey to get it, so I don't know. I don't know how the judges are going to feel about it, but he brings a really good look to classic, and I'm really happy for him.
Man, yeah, you highlight some good points there. Justin's structure is the thing that stands out the most to me, man. Like the V taper, as you said, everything in classic is about proportions. And the thing that
Mm-hmm.
Justin has is super, super clean flow and proportions to his physique between the wide clavicles. Like he has the intangibles, the things that you cannot obtain. Like he has the structure that you're either born with or not. Plus, he has the size and the muscle. He controls the things that you need to control. He diets hard. He does his cardio. He poses his physique extremely well, too. So the thing is, Justin is just like this very ideal combination of like God gifted structure and ability, and then just hard work and manifesting all the things that you can actually control yourself over the course of years. And that is what earned him this ticket to the Olympia. This is just a culmination of all the work that he's put in. I know it's been a hell of a journey these past few years between like the, you know, him losing his dad and like, you know, the food poisoning at Charlotte. Like he very well could have won that Charlotte show, or that was Fit World. Sorry. So he had food poisoning at Fit World. He very well could have won that Fit World show had he not had the food poisoning. And then, you know, the Charlotte show, which was, I believe, just the week after, you know, you're not going to be entirely recovered from food poisoning, uh, you know, just a week after. So coming in second in that show too, we may not have seen his best at that show either. And just, you know, just seeing Justin win this one it's a beautiful thing, man. And I'm really happy for the guy. He's classic in the truest form. So, it's going to be fun seeing him at the Olympia. That's for absolute certain, man. Seeing him next to some of these top guys, like you said, a lot of people comparing him to Chris Bumstead thus far.
Yeah,
So, I mean, we can pull up some of these photos and we'll just play devil's advocate for a little bit. Why don't we?
sure. I I think
Let's see
him
what we got.
compared
He's
to
probably
Chris is going
tagged
to
in
be a really.
500,000 things at
Uh,
this point, though.
oh yeah,
Let's get those
yeah,
C-bum
yeah. Him versus
photos.
Chris is going to be tough. What I'd like to see is him versus
There we
Wesley.
go.
I think that would be a little bit more fair
Oh,
towards him, because
yeah.
Wesley's still coming
Yeah.
up. Like he kind of made that statement. Where is it going to be real? Is it something we're going to actually see? This is
Yeah.
tough.
And yeah, I mean, it's tough. And like, certainly the thing is the way I, you know, run my situation is I try not to, I try to make everything fair to all the competitors and just, you know, not, not let people like punch below their weight. And it's really hard for me to not to compare Chris Bumstead to anybody who's like not been in the top 5 at the Olympia before. But
Mm,
the reason why Justin is being compared to Chris is just because he is so structurally gifted. And
yep.
yes, of course, Justin is, you know, he has yet to compete at the Olympia, but I understand why people have said this and make this comparison simply because, like, you look at the ratios and you have to think like small waist, huge lats, broad shoulders, tall guy, great detailed quads. First thing that comes to mind is Chris Bumstead. You know, people like to make comparisons. That's what we are as humans. You know, we like to compare things, whether
Yep.
or not they're on the exact same level or not. But you know, you look at these photos of Justin, and it's it's really hard to say that he can't be in that conversation very soon. I think he's well on his way, man.
Yeah. I don't think
So
it's
just to get
outside the
your thoughts,
possibility.
man, do you think he could be top 10 at the Olympia this year?
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I don't think it's outside the possibility for him to be top 10, which is still, it's going to be a stacked top 10, but stops 10. It's going to be a stacked top 10, but I really do think it definitely very possible. Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think we're going to see the deepest classic physique lineup ever. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, when you look at Justin from a structure perspective, there aren't many guys who can compare with that. And I think his structure just puts him in this, just automatically, he has to be considered among the best, especially given that, everything finally went the way it was supposed to. The final look was there,
Mm-hmm.
the back came up, and everything was on point today. And do I think I think this may be Justin at like like somewhere in between 90 and 95%. I think we may even see better at the Olympia, truthfully. Um,
Mm.
but I certainly believe he could be in the conversation this year. I don't think he'll be beating Chris Bumstead this year, but we very well could see them stand next to each other.
Yeah. Some people get really lucky with the initial call outs where they do the what do you call it? Whatever those proportional
The
rounds
group
are.
comparisons.
Sometimes you get really lucky. Yeah, the comparisons. I remember when I was at prejudging in Orlando, and I was sitting there with my camera right when he came out. I can't remember who he stood next to, but
Zonka.
the guy tagged himself in the post. Yeah. Yeah, he tagged himself and he was like, "Yes."
Yeah,
So
those photos were
I could
were
see
like
him.
viral. Yeah.
I was really surprised on how good some of my photos came out from those prejudging. The stage was so great because it was so small, and the media, those like first three rows, like everyone was just like really on top of the athletes. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. So again, big congrats to Justin for getting his first pro win.
Yes.
Big shout out to him. Finally breaking through and punching that ticket to the Olympia. Now we'll get into our top six as well. So just so you guys have kind of the idea of who was also in that mix. So here, shout out to Flex Magazine, always putting out some great photos from these competitions. So the guy who he was really fighting for that win with, and I'll be intrigued to see what the scorecards say. I think it was a pretty clear, at least for me, I probably would have Justin winning with a perfect score. But Gabriel Zoncanelli was like the clear guy battling splitting center with Justin for the entirety of the show. So Gabriel
Yep.
Zoncanelli there to his left was in second. Then we had to Justin's right, we had the Black Panther, Dan Covey Anderson, another guy who's been to the Olympia multiple times and is another embodiment of classic. I love the guy's physique, just super great shape, very complete. I think you could even argue that if we're talking about the most complete guy in this lineup, he could be that. Now, the only thing I will say with Danny is I think there is room for improvement with the peak. And I think he knows that as well. And as him and his
Mm.
coach do more shows together and whatnot, because I think they've been working together for maybe a year and a half. As they do more
Okay.
shows together and they figure out this peak, man, this is another guy who could be very, very dangerous. He's won big shows and poses very, very well. So, and doesn't have any weak shots whatsoever. He's got the density, the width, and structurally, man, like you could argue that he's right there with Justin too. Like his ratios are fantastic, dude. So, um,
Yeah.
so Danny Anderson there in third. Then we had Fabione Sylvain from the Dominican Republic there in fourth. He's already
Mm-hmm.
going to the Olympia. And if I didn't mention it already, Gabriel Zoncanelli, who finished in second, is going to the Olympia. Then in fifth place to the far right is Kirilo Kadaev from the Ukraine, who was actually my pick to win this show heading in because he was the highest placing Olympian before entering the show. He took 11th at the 2022 Olympia. And then in sixth place, we had Ben Zimmerman. So That's our top 6. And then also want to highlight some of these other guys who were kind of also in that top 10. So this is our 5 through 10. Now, I don't know, just because I don't think the scorecards have come out yet, who finished in 7th through 10th. We did have the top 6 placings, like I mentioned, but the other guys who, excluding the 2 guys in the center who were in the top 10, so we had Alex Maldonado there on the far left in his pro debut. So a great pro debut to be top 10 at the Tampa Pro here. Only pro debut who was in the top 10. Then we had another rookie, second pro appearance for Austin Espy there to his right. And then if we go down to the right side, we have second from the right, Alexander Westermeyer, who was a 2022 Olympian. And then Dominic Semenza on the furthest right. So that was our entire top 10. Now, Josh, I definitely want your thoughts on some of these call out photos. So what we want to get into is particularly the top 4. So we'll pull up these photos from Flex Magazine. I just kind of want to get your thoughts on what you're seeing here in each of these poses and kind of what differentiates the competitors here. So here in the front double bicep, just walk me through this and kind of what are you seeing? What are you looking for?
Sure. I'm going to try to pull it up on my own screen so I can get that extra super detailed photos. So when we look at this front double in the top 4, I mean, I got to say, Justin really just steals my eyes. I don't know if it's the contour with the vacuum that kind of pulls you there, or if he truly, just the pure size and proportions with the lat taper, like you mentioned earlier, going into that tight midsection. But Justin really steals my eyes for here. The Gabriel fella on his right, he looks phenomenal. The conditioning really stands out for him. Although he might be a little undersized. Maybe it's undersized next to Justin because of the angle. I know the illusions always play a part in these shots. But I would say, like you mentioned as well, a clear second here. The guy from the Dominican Republic all the way on the right, I think he looks phenomenal. I always enjoyed the underbeard he has. So seeing him really come in with good conditioning, the angle's a little difficult, but he looks phenomenal. And then the Black Panther guy all the way on the left, great structure, a little bit shorter than everyone, but he kind of makes it his own. I remember people saying he's really good with the posing and uses his hands really well. So he always makes a statement when he's on stage.
Yeah, I think the biggest component in this shot that distinguishes Justin here is the width, man. When you look at him versus Gabriel Zoncanelli to his right, you'll notice 2 things. And this is something that Aaron and I in our preview were discussing. You look at, if you were to take the arms away and the legs away, and you look at everything else, you're going to notice that Justin from shoulder to shoulder and lat to lat is wider. He has more width. He's taking up more space than Gabriel. Now, you do make a very valid point in the fact that this is slightly off center. So this is also playing into that a little bit more. But if we were to center this, just about any way you slice it, Justin has him on width. And something I do want to really highlight too is the ratio so if you look at the ratio of lats to waist to quads, in classic physique, one of the most important components is ratios of those 3 things. And what you should be looking for is something that emulates an hourglass. So an hourglass type of shape. You want wide sweeping lats, a very tiny waist, and wide sweeping quads. Now, if you were to just do the hourglass test and tell me who looks most like an hourglass, it is Justin Badurina in this shot. And that is one of, if
Mhm.
not the most important component of classic physique, is that specific hourglass test right there. So one thing that Justin also deserves a lot of credit for is his arms came up. His arms definitely came up. So, I mean, for me, it's Justin in this shot all day. I think this was probably the most dominant pose that he had on stage today, along with if he hits the front lat spread in the favorite classic pose, that's another
Mhm.
shot that's so hard to beat.
It's a nutty shot for him. Yep.
Yeah. So that's the front double bicep. And Sanch, we'll look here at the side chest, man. So if you want to pull this up, I want you
Yep.
to kind of walk me through this and tell me what you're seeing here, man.
So with the side chest, again, Justin really grabs my attention here. He's always had a phenomenal shelf with the chest. And the way he kind of holds it reminds me more of like a more classic. He keeps the hands nice and as I'm posing, he keeps the hands nice and low, but also he has a very unique approach to getting that hamstring drop. He doesn't really sit into it too much. He really allows that back leg to pull in a way, pull that hamstring to really have a good drop to it. Uh, Maybe not as much lines as some of the other competitors on stage, but very aesthetic. It's very unique to Justin, and clearly from the results, it really did show to be favorable to the judges.
Mm-hmm.
He also does a great job pushing that rear delt forward, really emphasizing the width that came to help him with that victory.
Yeah.
So that's with Justin. The rest of the guys, I mean, everyone brought great conditioning. The Gabriel, I'd like to see a little bit more thickness in the overall quad, the quad and hamstring. Justin's leg, especially the hamstring drop, really shows some room for improvements. But compliment sandwich. I also think he looks phenomenal in the upper department. He's probably got the best traps on stage right now. Those really jump out at you and kind of steal your eyes as well. So, I mean, another phenomenal competitor. He clearly already qualified for the Olympia.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that everyone just looks really phenomenal. I mean, I don't want to pick apart every physique, and we'd be here all day.
Yeah, I will say in this shot, it's a little bit more of a toss up for me when you compare Justin and Gabriel, simply because they're very, very similar in terms of size in this shot. You could probably give Gabriel a slight edge in terms of the density. However, Justin is opening up a little bit more and I think posing this shot better than Gabriel is. You're seeing more width from shoulder to
Mm.
shoulder, so front shoulder to back shoulder. That's a huge key with the side chest is what's different than the classic, like the old side chest was, it was a chest first pose, man. You had these guys who were all closed up and they're trying to just show the density. Well, new age classic physique, it is all about showcasing your width. And that's exactly what you see in every single one of these guys. They are opened the hell up. Like you're trying to see how
Mm-hmm.
wide these guys are. So Justin does a fantastic job of opening up and I think just looks a little bit wider than Gabriel. Now, what I will say is I do think Gabriel might have a slight edge in terms of just some of the detail coming out in the glute and the hamstring, but you do see the line
Mm-hmm.
there with Justin as well. So, and this is also a slight detail that is probably not being judged heavily, but I think Justin's got better
Mm.
calves than Gabriel does. That's also something to consider. But nevertheless, all of these guys have a very good side chest. And that's typically a pose that distinguishes a lot of people from kind of like that second to first call out typically, because as you can see, these guys have crazy density in the upper and lower body and great, just very proportionate physique. So side chest there. And then the back double. This was the pose that was kind of
Mm.
the key to this show. The big question heading into this was, what's Justin's back going to look like? And Sanch, what did we learn
Yep.
today?
Well, just to give anyone some backstory, that was probably one of Justin's biggest areas that he himself gave himself critiques and feedback. The judges gave him a lot of feedback on just growing the back, and Brant did mention the arms as well. So coming into this show, people were wondering what Brant said, what their physique, what his physique is going to look like, especially from the back. Is he going to make those improvements? How is he going to compare next to these other, Olympians? And as the was it the tail of the tape, tail of the take? I don't know.
Yeah,
There's a
tail of the tape.
boxing
You
term
had
that
it. Yeah.
I yeah I always butcher it every time, but I enjoy using it, so I'm going to keep using it. You can see that he is competitive with the rest of this lineup. And I'm sure Brant's even going to say he wins in a lot of these muscle groups. I like Gabriel's mid upper back looks like a loaf of nice buttered bread. It's got a lot of valleys and bumps and ridges. It looks really thick and dense. And in the hamstrings, it's kind of got that if you would. He's got that Chris Bumstead piano wiring going in those hamstrings that a lot of people and judges alike really do enjoy. But Justin does a phenomenal job with some, I don't even, what do you call those glutes? Like clam shell glutes. They're so hard, so deeply striated. I mean, no one on the stage has as dry and as hard glutes as Justin does. And the hamstrings do complement as well with a great amount of conditioning. So I would want to say the Black Panther guy on the left, he's got some Samson Dauda-esque hamstring and glutes, very reminiscent of what Samson looks like from the back. So great lineup, phenomenal shots, and I think Justin did a great job of securing that win.
Yeah. So that's a back double. And I'll just make my quick notes on the ab and thigh. I do think here Justin takes his pose with the his. Now I do think Gabriel looks a little bit better with the vacuum than he does crunched down, simply because you can't really see. You're not seeing it here, but I think I posted a photo, or maybe I was talking about it on the prejudging live I did, but Justin just has better ab insertions and better shape, and then also just has bigger lats and a smaller waist. So I had Justin in that pose too. And then here, the favorite classic pose, if Justin hits anything straight on, it's over. So it's like you can't compete with that.
Yep.
But again,
yeah, I saw him do like a side try for a favorite for a second. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, show that width.
yeah. I think he realized, like, he probably, I had him, a feeling Dan probably came to him. Dan, his coach, was probably like, just stick with like the front lat or the teacup, because
Yeah.
just like you're not beating that shot. Nobody
Yeah.
except for the top 5 at the Olympia is probably beating that shot. So
Literally, yeah. He needs to just sell that coming into the Olympia now.
yeah. So that was our top 4 final call out at prejudging. And again, I gotta take my hat off to these guys. We had a hell of a lineup here at the Tampa Pro, and Justin Badurina was our winner, punching his ticket to the Olympia, winning his very first pro show ever. And before we get out of here, make sure you guys give me a follow here on Instagram if you're not already. Like, comment, and share this video so we can get this Tampa Pro footage out there and get everybody informed on what just happened. And then also want to give another huge shout out to my boy Sanch. Make sure you guys follow him here on Instagram. It's Bodybuilding News Network. Super easy to find. Check out his coverage of all the men's divisions here in bodybuilding. Also search him on YouTube if you guys want some good YouTube bodybuilding coverage. Sanch is your guy. So without further ado, I think we're gonna wrap this thing up. But before we get out of here, Sanch, any shout outs you want to give, or just anything you want to say to the people?
Oh man. If you guys are in the Baltimore, DC area, I'm going to be out here for a few more months doing some military obligation. I've been out here for like 4 months at this point, so hit me up. Otherwise, I live in San Francisco, in that area. So if there's shows you want me to cover, let me know. Like Brant already said, check me out on YouTube, and make sure you guys check out all the other people that are associated with the channel. I know Brant's been on BNN several times, so I try to truly make it a network for the bodybuilding media and commentators. So if you know someone, you want to get them on the channel, let me know. I'd love to broaden our horizons.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, thanks for joining, man. Really appreciate you, brother. Always fun just talking bodybuilding for a bit. So
Oh
that
yeah.
so that's gonna do it for the
Oh
preview or for the for the that's gonna do it for the wrap up today of the Tampa Pro. I'm Brant. That's Sanch. Make sure you guys keep it classic. We'll see you later.